All right, get ready because today we're diving deep into the world of the square root of 3.
The Shaker-3 ratio.
That's the one. Our listener, Dustin, wrote in asking about the connection between fractal grids and sacred geometry.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, it turns out Sacred-3 is right at the heart of it all.
It really is. It's
Yeah.
amazing how this uh, seemingly simple mathematical concept
Yeah.
pops up in so many unexpected places. We're talking art, architecture,
Mhm.
nature,
Right.
even ancient symbols. It makes you wonder
It really does.
if EVA3 is some kind of universal code.
A universal code, huh? I like that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
let's back up for a second. You mentioned fractal grids.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us who don't spend our days,
Right.
contemplating the mysteries of the cosmos, can you
Yeah.
break that down a bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about it like our solar system. You've got the sun at the center,
Okay.
representing a core concept.
Right.
Then orbiting around it, you have the planets, which represent
Okay.
related ideas or subparts.
Subparts, got it.
And just like planets have moons, each of those planet ideas can be broken down further
Uh-huh.
into their own smaller grids. It's a way of organizing information in a hierarchical
Right.
and interconnected way.
So it's like a zoom lens for ideas.
Yeah.
You can keep zooming in and finding more and more detail.
Exactly.
But it's all connected back to that central concept.
Exactly. And that's where the fractal part comes in.
Okay.
The same pattern repeats itself at different scales,
Well.
which allows you to break down
Right.
even the most complex systems into manageable chunks.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this could be useful for understanding all sorts of things.
Yeah,
From writing a research paper to designing a building.
absolutely.
But where does ACE3 fit into all of this?
Well, it turns out that the S3 ratio
Okay.
is key to creating what's called a NES3 rectangle,
3 rectangles.
a shape that embodies something called dynamic symmetry.
Okay.
Now, you're probably familiar with the idea of symmetry as a
Yeah.
kind of mirror image,
Right.
but dynamic symmetry is a little different.
Different how?
Instead of being based on identical halves,
Okay.
it's all about proportions.
Okay.
In a 3 rectangle, the ratio between the long side and the short side
Mm-hmm.
is always the square root of 3, which is approximately 1.732.
1.732. Got it.
And what's fascinating is that this ratio
Yeah.
repeats itself no matter how many times you subdivide the rectangle.
Wait, so you're saying if you took a 7-3 rectangle
Mm-hmm.
and cut it in half, each of those smaller rectangles
Yeah.
would also have sides in the sugar ratio.
You got it. That's the self-replicating property
Okay.
of this 3 rectangle. And it's a visual representation of dynamic symmetry.
Okay.
It's like a Russian nesting doll of perfect proportions.
Okay. That's pretty cool. It makes sense that this kind of harmonious proportion
Yeah.
would be appealing to artists and architects.
Absolutely.
But I have to admit, it's still a little abstract for me.
Well, luckily, the source material included some visuals that might help bring this to life.
Okay.
You have 3 panels in front of you. The first one shows that Syn3 rectangle
Okay.
being divided into smaller, self-similar rectangles,
Uh-huh.
each with sides in that magic 1.732 ratio.
Okay, I see it. It's kind of mesmerizing how it just keeps dividing and dividing,
Right.
but the proportions stay the same.
Exactly. And if you look at the middle panel,
Okay.
you'll see how this constant subdivision
Yeah.
creates a fractal pattern.
Okay.
It's like zooming in on a coastline, you see the same basic shapes,
Yeah.
repeating at smaller and smaller scales.
And what about that third panel? There's a spiral in that one, right?
Yes, the City-3 spiral. This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
When you keep subdividing the City-3 rectangle
Right.
and connect the corners in a specific way, a spiral naturally emerges.
Okay.
And you know what's remarkable?
What's that?
This spiral isn't just a mathematical curiosity. It reflects growth patterns found all over in nature.
Hold on. Are you telling me that the same spiral that emerges from this mathematical rectangle is also found in seashells and galaxies? That's wild.
It is wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it hints at a deeper connection between mathematics and the natural world.
Right.
But we're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah.
Remember that term sacred geometry
Oh, yeah.
from Dustin's question?
Right. The idea that certain shapes and proportions hold spiritual or mystical significance.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there's one shape in particular
Okay.
that plays a key role in this whole Cephes story.
All right.
Something called the Vesica Pisces.
The Vesica Pisces.
Now, stay with me here because this might sound a bit mystical.
Bring on the mystical. I'm all ears.
All right, then.
Mhm.
Imagine two circles overlapping,
Okay.
each with its center on the circumference of the other.
Okay.
The shape they create
Yeah.
is called the vesica piscis,
Okay.
and it's been a powerful symbol in sacred geometry for centuries,
Wow.
representing everything from creation and duality
Okay.
to unity and the intersection of the spiritual and material worlds.
Okay, I'm picturing it. It kind of looks like an almond shape, right?
That's a good way to visualize it. But here's the kicker.
Okay.
The vesica piscis itself contains the I/3 ratio within its geometry.
Whoa, wait a minute. So you're telling me that this ancient symbol,
Yeah.
the Vesica Piscis, with all its mystical connotations,
Right.
is also built on the same mathematical ratio that governs the spiral of a galaxy.
Uh-huh.
My mind is officially blown.
It is pretty mind-blowing when you start to see these connections, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
And we're not done yet.
Oh, no.
Remember how we were talking about Second 3 showing up in art and architecture?
Right.
Well, the source material actually points to a specific artwork, the baptism of Christ.
Okay, so we're going from math to galaxies to ancient symbols to Renaissance art now. This deep dive really is taking us everywhere. But
Yeah.
how does Second 3 actually show up in a painting? I'm having a hard time picturing it.
Well, think about how artists compose their paintings.
Okay.
They use shapes, lines, and proportions to create a sense of balance and harmony.
Right.
Or draw your eye to certain elements.
Okay.
And in the baptism of Christ, you can actually see how the artist used a grid based on 3 rectangles and the vesica piscis
Yeah.
to structure the composition.
So they were consciously using these geometric principles to create a more visually pleasing
Yes.
and perhaps even spiritually resonant work of art.
That's the idea.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is that this wasn't just a one-off thing.
Oh, really?
You see similar uses of symmetry in mandalas.
Okay.
Those intricate circular designs used in various spiritual traditions.
Right, right.
It's like there's something about this ratio that speaks to our sense of beauty and order, whether we're conscious of it or not.
I'm starting to see Shri everywhere now.
I know, right?
But you mentioned architecture, too. What kind of buildings are we talking about here?
Oh, some of the most iconic structures in the world. Take the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris, for example.
Notre Dame, as in the one with the gargoyles and the giant rose window?
Yes.
The one that almost burned down a few years back?
The very same. Now, Gothic cathedrals like Notre Dame
Mm-hmm.
are known for their soaring heights,
Right.
intricate details, and sense of awe-inspiring grandeur.
Yes.
And a lot of that has to do with the way they were designed.
Okay, so how does RE's 3 fit into all of this?
Well, it turns out that the architects of Notre Dame
Okay.
and many other Gothic cathedrals
Huh?
incorporated 33 ratios and the vesica piscis into their designs.
Wow.
Not just for aesthetic reasons,
Mm-hmm.
but because they believed these proportions reflected divine harmony.
Okay.
They believed that by aligning the physical structure with these universal principles, they were creating a space that was not only beautiful, but also spiritually resonant.
So they were literally trying to build a bridge between the earthly and the divine using mathematics and geometry.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Wow.
And you can see this in the specifics of the design.
Okay.
For instance, the height of the nave,
Yeah.
the central part of the cathedral, is 3 times its width. This creates a sense of soaring verticality that draws your eye upwards towards the heavens.
I've always been fascinated by those Gothic cathedrals.
Me too.
They have this incredible ability to make you feel small and insignificant,
Right.
yet somehow connected to something much larger than yourself.
It's powerful.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as a mathematical ratio could play a role in that experience.
It really is. And Notre Dame is just one example.
Oh,
The source material also mentions Angkor Wat in Cambodia,
okay.
another incredible temple complex.
Angkor Wat. I've seen pictures. It's absolutely breathtaking.
It is, and it's a marvel of architectural and astronomical precision.
Right.
The layout of Angkor Wat is aligned with celestial events,
Okay.
like the solstices and equinoxes.
Uh-huh.
And it turns out that Angkru ratios play a key role in achieving this alignment.
Wow. So they were using Ankh-3 to connect the Earth and the cosmos.
Yeah.
That takes things to a whole new level.
It does, and it speaks to the deep understanding of the universe possessed by ancient civilizations. But wait, there's one more iconic structure mentioned in the source,
Oh.
and this one might surprise you.
Okay, hit me with it. I'm ready for another mind-blowing revelation.
The Great Pyramid of Giza.
No way! Seriously. The pyramids have something to do with G3.
They do. The proportions of the Great Pyramid
Okay.
are closely linked to several mathematical constants, including C3, the square root of 2, and the golden ratio.
I always knew there was something special about the pyramids.
Yeah.
I never realized G3 was part of the equation.
It's fascinating.
What do you think the ancient Egyptians were trying to achieve by incorporating these mathematical principles into their designs?
Well, some believe that they saw these mathematical constants as reflections of divine order and harmony.
Okay.
By embedding them in their structures,
Right.
they were not only creating impressive feats of engineering,
Yeah.
but also imbuing them with symbolic meaning and enduring power.
So it's not just about the physical structure itself,
No.
but also about what it represents. The ideas and principles it embodies.
Exactly. And that brings us back to that idea of a universal code that we talked about earlier.
Uh-huh.
It seems that Sure-3, along with these other mathematical constants,
Right.
is woven into the very fabric of our universe,
Wow.
from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy.
I'm starting to get a sense of that interconnectedness,
Yeah.
of how this one mathematical ratio can pop up in so many seemingly unrelated places.
Right.
It's like we're seeing the underlying structure of reality, the hidden code that connects it all.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is that this code isn't just about math and science.
Oh.
It's also about art, spirituality, and the human search for meaning.
You know, earlier we were talking about how a standard 3x5 index card isn't quite a perfect 3-3 rectangle.
Right.
And that's been bugging me ever since.
Excellent.
But just to satisfy my curiosity,
Yeah.
what would the dimensions of a true 3 rectangle with a 3-inch side actually be?
Well, a true 3 rectangle with a 3-inch short side would have a long side of approximately 5.196 inches.
So just a little bit longer than your typical index card.
Yeah, just a smidge.
Interesting. I never thought I'd be geeking out about the exact dimensions of a rectangle, but here we are.
It's pretty cool, huh?
It is kind of fascinating, right?
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how many other everyday objects are almost, but not quite
Yeah.
aligned with these hidden mathematical proportions.
It's all around us.
I know. It's like we're surrounded by these echoes of a record, these subtle hints of this underlying order.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to Dustin's original question
Right,
about the connection between fractal grids and sacred geometry.
right. So for Dustin, or for anyone listening who's been captivated by this deep dive into the Shrew-3 ratio, what would you say is the key takeaway?
I think the biggest takeaway is that Shrew-3, it's so much more than just a number.
Right.
It's a principle of harmony and balance
Well,
that shows up in the natural world,
right.
in human creativity, and even in spiritual symbolism. Fractal grids provide a framework for understanding
Okay.
how this principle operates at different scales,
Right.
from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy.
Wow.
They help us see the interconnectedness of everything.
It's like we're starting to glimpse the underlying structure of the universe, the hidden code that connects it all.
Exactly. And while we've covered a lot of ground today,
Yeah,
we've really just scratched the surface.
I bet.
There's so much more to explore when it comes to the 3 and its significance.
So for all of you listening out there,
Yeah.
keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly,
What's that?
keep looking for those hidden connections.
Yeah.
You never know what you might discover.
You never know. And maybe, just maybe,
Yeah,
you'll be the one to unlock the next secret of the Ure-3 ratio.
that's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.
It was fun.
Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.